How do you know if you have enough to retire? It's one of the single biggest questions in retirement planning. But here's the truth. Most folks are looking at the wrong measures. They focus on a magic savings number, maybe a million, maybe two, but they completely ignore the actual retirement income needed to keep the engine running for the long haul. Because if you're like most of us, you've been saving for decades, but as you get closer to that final approach, the stakes just couldn't be higher. And if you're wondering how much to retire without the fear your fuel tank's going to run dry, you're not alone. Tons of folks I talk to in their 50s and 60s are terrified that they're going to outlive their money. So in this video, we're going to build a flight plan that focuses on cash flow, not just a pile of cash, because I want you to stop flying blind and start enjoying the ride. Now, if you're new here, my name's Harry. I'm a grandpa and a pilot from the prairies in Canada, and I treat retirement just like a long-haul flight. You wouldn't take off across the ocean without knowing exactly how much fuel you burn per hour, would you? Or where your refueling points are, right? But that's exactly what traditional financial advice tells you to do. Fill up the tank once and hope you've got enough to glide to the final destination. Now, before we throttle up here, I want to give you a little disclaimer. I am not a financial planner or any kind of an investment advisor, nor do I play one on TV. I'm not giving you any kind of financial advice. I'm just a pilot and a guy who's figured out how to replace my income so I didn't have to work until I dropped. So let's talk about the biggest danger in retirement planning, the nest egg obsession. Because again, if you're my vintage, we've all been told to save a big pile of money. Let's say for the sake of argument, $1.5 million. And then we use maybe a 4% rule or something like that to sell off bits and pieces of it to live on. And that's your savings tank. But here's the kicker. That tank has a hole in it. Every time you pay a bill, the level drops a little bit. And if you live too long or the market crashes at the wrong time, that tank can run dry way before you thought it would. And that's terrifying. Now, why would you want to live a little bit closer to the edge every single year, especially as you get older? But here's the good news. You don't need to be afraid. You just need awareness. The shift that we need to make is moving from net worth to cash flow or income. Think of it this way. In aviation, I care about how much fuel I'm burning. If I'm burning 50 gallons an hour, I need to know that I have access to refueling to keep my tanks full. In your retirement, your burn rate is your expenses. If you can generate reliable income that covers your burn rate, it doesn't matter if you have $1 million or $0 in the bank. Your flight continues indefinitely. And that's the difference between hoping you survive and knowing you're going to thrive. So how do we figure out what you're actually going to need? Well, we need to look at the instrument panel. First, we need to know your reserve number. This is the mortgage if you still have one, utilities, food, insurance, the bills that got to get paid to keep the lights on. Second is your lifestyle number. This is the golf fees, the travel, the spoiling the grandkids. This is the stuff that makes your golden years actually golden. Because believe me, I know I want to enjoy the time that I have left. I don't want to just sit around at home watching the paint peel. But here's where most flight plans fail. They forget the headwinds. Because we need to talk about the hidden enemy, and that's inflation. Because believe me, the inflation winds are never a tailwind. They will never be in your favor. And if you think you need $5,000 a month today to live, in 10 years, you might need $10,000 just to buy the same loaf of bread and live in the same house. That's nothing extra. And if your plan is to just slowly drain the savings account, inflation is going to eat your lunch. You need income streams that you can adjust that course and have enough power to cut through those headwinds. And now if you're sitting there thinking, hey, Harry, I don't know how to create income that beats inflation. Hey, don't worry. What I'm going to ask you to do is just drop the word blueprint in the comments or get the link for my Freedom Formula blueprint from the description in this video, and I will send you the same blueprint that me and 58,000 other folks in the community are using to create multiple income streams that keep fueling our family's futures. And now here's something else that I want you to think about. We don't get to choose when the crap shows up. And there's a nasty little bit of turbulence that we call sequence of return risk. Now, I know that sounds technical, but it's simple. Imagine for a second you retire. You start pulling money out of your retirement account and the market drops 20% that same year. You're now selling your stocks when they're down and you're locking in those losses. Now, if that happens early in your retirement flight, you may never recover that altitude. And you could run out of money 10 years earlier than you planned. And that's certainly what I saw back in the days when the tech bubble burst and also in 2008 when the housing bubble popped. Fortunes were lost and people on retirement really struggled with that. And here's one final kicker for you: longevity. We're living longer. Now, that's great news to the grandkids, but it's also an expensive problem. Stiffer knees means higher medical bills. Are you budgeting for that? Fidelity estimated that an average 65-year-old couple needs about $315,000 after taxes just to cover their health care in retirement. Now, that's a big bite out of the sandwich. And if you're relying on a fixed pot of money, one bad health storm can drain that tank real fast. So what's the solution? How do we refuel in midair? You need assets to produce cash flow. For years, I was a landlord. I did the traditional real estate thing. I dealt with the tenants, the plugged toilets, the expensive trades. And let me tell you, chasing rent checks is not my idea of a relaxing retirement. That's active work. And frankly, it's a job that I wanted to quit. We want passive income. We want checks that show up whether we get out of bed or not, right? Now, these could be dividend stocks, private money lending, or investing in syndicated real estate where somebody else deals with all the headaches and you just get the cash flow. But the goal is to build a machine that prints enough money to cover your burn rate plus a buffer for those inflation headwinds. Now, when you have income that exceeds your expenses, you don't care if the stock market dips a little bit. You don't care if you live to be 105 because the fuel tank is constantly being refilled. Now, that's how you finish your retirement flight with confidence. Because here's the truth. You don't have to fly blind into retirement, and you also don't need to have millions of dollars tomorrow. What you need is clarity. You need a plan, and you need systems that create income while you're off living your life because you've worked hard for your money. Now you need to make sure your money works hard enough to keep you going. Now, if some of these points are kind of hitting home for you and you don't want to leave your retirement up to chance, here's what I want you to do. Just drop Blueprint in the comments or grab your copy of my Freedom Formula Blueprint from the description down below. And I'll send you all the info on a simple step-by-step system to create reliable retirement income so you can live the life that you dreamed of in your golden years. But guys, don't sit around on this. The best time to start filing your retirement flight plan is today. So if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments or send me an email. I read and respond to every message myself. And make sure you also check out my next video where I'm going to be discussing 6 different ways you can build reliable income online without all the stress of a rental property. So until next time, hey, I'm Harry. Thanks for stopping in, and I'll see you soon.